Yes, people, what is going on, everyone? It's Mike back again from sunny Florida. I thought I'd just jump on. I haven't done a video in a few days. I said there'd be more content, and there will be more content, so just enjoy my holiday. It's a nice break away from the season we've just had. Obviously, I did the video the other day, pretty much just destroying the board and talking about the season. So make sure you go and check that out as well, and hit the like and subscribe button if you can. Sorry if the audio is a bit weird. I'm in my bedroom in the villa, so it's probably a bit airy. So anyway, let's get into it. Some transfer news. Everton are close, we believe, to signing James Tarkowski on a free transfer. Rumours of wages between 90 to 120. I suspect it's probably more like 90 with bonuses. This defender stacked out to be technically, in terms of defensive stats, one of the best in the Premier League. He's a player that I rate highly and have rated highly for a very, very long time. His name, though, and I think this is partly because he plays for Burnley, sort of gets mud thrown. People think he's not a very good defender, or he's not good enough in certain one-on-one situations, maybe has that lack of pace or that lack of ball-playing ability. What he is a leader, he's a commander, and whether you're 3-0 down or 4-0 up, this is a man that will wear the shirt with pride. He'll battle. We're a Northwest team, so he doesn't want to move away from the Northwest. He's based in Burnley. He's 20, 30, 40 miles away from Goodison and Everton, so it would be a good move for him, and it would be the start of a change in guard, because you would see, I suspect, one of the defenders leave or go out. Mina, Keane, Holgate, Branthwaite, whoever you want to throw out in there, I suspect one of them will change. And he has Premier League experience and quality, and I think that's what we need. You know, I've heard a lot of people talking about finishing between 8th and 12th next season, but if Everton don't have a lot of money to spend, I think that's difficult. Certainly with the players we've got, we finished 16th in the league, and arguably for a long spell of it could have been relegated if the manager dice hadn't been rolled. So for me, you give me 15th all day. What I think Tarkowski does, he walks into that Everton defence, he's solid, and he will educate the younger players around him in terms of what they need to do correctly, the right ambition, because the right mentality, the leading edge in games. Because what he would do is he'll make players better. He'll make players look better who play around him. We saw it for years. Michael Keane probably got a move because he was playing alongside players like Ben Mee and James Tarkowski to Everton. And I always said, I've said numerous times, I thought Tarkowski was the better defender. He's played for England. He just ticks a lot of boxes. And for £90,000, I know people will be saying it's mad, we haven't learnt lessons, whatever. But £90,000 isn't 130 grand a week. It's not a Cenk Tosun. It's not a Gylfi Sigurdsson. It's not a Fabian Delph. It's a signing Everton need to make, and statistics back it up. Yes, he played in a poor Burnley side. Yes, they got relegated, but the facts are, I don't really think that was on him. You know, there was games last season, I think in particular it might have been Watford or Leicester, and Burnley could have easily lost that game. Might even have been Leeds. They could easily have lost that game. And he was solid, he was strong, he won everything, and I think they ended up getting a draw. He put in loads of blocks. I ended up tweeting about it at the time. So I'm really happy with this signing if it comes off. So I'm all for it. Second person I want to talk about is a player that we've been linked with a couple of times recently. And apparently Everton have offered a contract to. I'd be interested to see what that looks like. But that's for Christian Erikson. Now this is a player that if Everton had the ability to sign in January, it was stupid not to. Because he completely revitalised Brentford. They went from a team that I thought would go down, probably around February, I was convinced they were going down. And he turned it round. I think he played 11 times, he scored goals, he got assists, he did everything, he dominated the game. Against us, I thought he played really well in midfield. He tackles back, he works hard. He's not the quickest, but he's got that pass, so it doesn't really matter. and he knows where the goal is. So for me, Christian Erikson, if he chose to sign for Everton, because it will be his choice, there will be players abroad, there will be teams abroad, there'll be teams in the Premier League. Tottenham have been linked, Manchester United have been linked, Arsenal have been linked. Obviously, Brentford want to keep him. If Everton could snatch in and snap him up, that would be great. Personally, I suspect he'll stay at Brentford. I think he'll be loyal to a team that put faith in him. He didn't want to give up football after the incident in the Euros last year, and credit to him for having that, again, mentality, that drive, that winning leadership. He's got all of that, and I think he'll sign for Brentford permanently. I think he'll do a 2 or 3 year deal personally, but I would love to sign him. And other players that have been mentioned and spoke about, and I think it's really important we touch on this, is outgoings. One of them's Richarlison. Comments apparently were made that he doesn't know what he's doing in the future, but then he's put out posts about being in a blue shirt, and you know, he got done with that flare incident by the FA, and he puts a picture up of him holding it in the bright blue. He doesn't give a shit, which is great, fantastic, and I love him. Like, I love Richie so much, but I do worry that we're going to have to cash in on him to help us financially, because although we know we've got money, that isn't the issue. It's the ability to use it, and we can't use it. And what is happening is we're stepping backwards. We've gone from, I would argue 6 years ago, we were probably the 7th best team in the league, I'd argue. Martinez had done a good job. He'd finished 11th and 12th. He'd underachieved with that team that included Lukaku, Barkley, Morales, etc. He really did underachieve in those 2 seasons because he couldn't defend. And Koeman stripped the pace out of it in his 2nd season. He stripped the pace out of it. He dismantled it. And we ended up with a side that was really poor, in my opinion. Klaassen, Rooney, Sigurdsson, etc. All of these players that just were not good enough. Balassi injured. So we went from being a good attacking side that could play good football, that could pass the ball, that could score goals, to being really stiff, fragile, not athletic enough. And it's cost us for the last 5 years. Marcel Brands didn't do a great job, in my opinion. The board didn't support Marcel in the right way. He made a pop at that. And what I think the board have got to allow Kevin Furwell and Frank Lampard to do is fix this mess. And that will take a season or 2. It definitely will take a season or 2. You'll see some big turnaround in players. Everton apparently could release 10 players. Now, think of some of the names that are in there. Cenk Tosun, Gylfi Sigurdsson, Fabian Delph. John Joe Kenny, I think, has just been offered a new deal, which I disagree with. I don't think he should be. So there's numerous players there. Then there's players that will be up for sale, i.e. your Andre Gomez. Maybe Alex Iwobi. Let's not paper over the cracks. Me and Millsy had this conversation the other week. Iwobi was fantastic towards the end of the season, and I have no issue if Iwobi actually stays and is a squad player. But in hindsight, you should want to cash in. You know, he finished the season well. Get 10, 15 million for him. It's nowhere near what we paid, but get the wages and that fee off the book. You know, and replace them with young, hungry talent. And players with Premier League experience, because Premier League experience, funny enough, kept us up. Because I went on about it with Dele Alli come on. He was experienced enough to take the fans out of the equation. He took the fans out. He didn't listen. He silenced the away fans. He silenced the Palace fans, and he was calm on the ball. And that experience won us the game of football, in my opinion, and kept us in the Premier League. And I am very grateful to Dele Alli for that. So I genuinely believe that we need more legs, we need a bit more athleticism, but we need Premier League experience. So this window might not look pretty. It might not look like your star-studded names that you want to hear. You know, we get linked with Koulibaly every single summer. I don't think it looks like that. It doesn't look like that for me. What it looks like is James Tarkowski's, Milivojevic from Crystal Palace, another player I'll talk about. It looks like experience with young players grown around it, quality young players, and that excites me, but I think you have to be accepting that next season we will not pull up any trees, and I don't expect us to. And I almost don't care if we don't. I just don't want a season like this season. So that's that from me. Talking about Milivojevic, Everton have been linked with the Crystal Palace former captain, 31 years old. Now, if this is a guy that comes in on 30, 40 grand wages on a 2-year deal, I have no issues with it, because again, it's leadership. Again, it's a little bit of presence, scores penalties, etc. He's a leader. He'll be a good voice in the dressing room, etc. I have no issues with that. What I don't want is signing players that aren't really bothered. You know, like, I felt like when we signed Tamari Gray and Andros Townsend, they had a point to prove. And their point was that they were still good enough. Tamari Gray definitely did that in the first 12 games, maybe 15 games this season, and in moments during the season after. He was frustrating at times, but he did do it. Andros Townsend come up with some crucial goals. He scored a lot of goals early on. Between the two of them, you know, they were Everton's first and second goal scorer for the majority of the season, until Richarlison stepped up and really took the ball by the horns. So I can't criticise either of them, but they cost us a grand total of 1.7 million, and wages are probably 80, 90 grand between them. You know, they're good players just to have. So, for me, I think we'll have more of that. We've been linked heavily with players like Gilmour and Conor Gallagher, and they're players that I would love to sign. Harry Winks is another one. It's very obvious that he's looking for a midfield engine room. It's very obvious he's looking for someone who can distribute the ball, who will put a foot in, who's clever tactically. It just depends on money for me. Like Conor Gallagher would probably cost us 40 million. And I rate him that highly. Like he is fantastic. I just don't think he comes. And I want to be more positive. You know, if Everton had come off the back of a good season where we maybe finished in the top 6, top 8, top 10, I would have said, yeah, it's a step up. But at this moment in time, he's probably going to get a few minutes at Chelsea. He's not going to play 38 games, but he's probably going to play 20, 25 games. He'll get moments. Ruben Loftus-Cheek come back into that side, played games. So I think it's really difficult. Gilmour's different, because Gilmour didn't necessarily play that much at Norwich, but we know his quality. And he's not going to get in that Chelsea side, I don't think, because they've got Kovacic, they've got the other one as well, you know, the one that was Golden Boot nominated, etc. But these are older players coming to the end of contracts, and Jorginho. And I just think, again, it's difficult to know where Gilmour's going to fit. So I don't think that one will happen for quite a while, if it did happen. So it's really difficult to know what way Everton are going to turn in terms of transfers. I certainly think you'll see more outs than you'll see ins. I think we'll have quite a thin squad next season, just because we want to just keep trimming this wage bill until we get to a point where we can have a decent investment summer. I really suspect the first season we go into the new stadium, I think will be a heavy investment summer, like a £200 million blowout. I really do. But we're nowhere near that at the minute. So I just think, let's just build, let's just take time, a couple of loans, new centre-half, new midfielder. We're probably going to need a striker if Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, if one of them, if not both of them, go. Newcastle have been heavily tipped with Calvert-Lewin, a team that I pretty much called out in January, saying they would go after Calvert-Lewin if they stay in the league. I'm convinced, albeit I think they've made an approach for Ren in 10k. I can't remember. So I think they would be looking around Calvert-Lewin. And then Richarlison will have many suitors. He really did, in my opinion, turn up at the end of the season when we needed him. And the fans and him sort of really come together. So I really do suspect that if they both go, I think Everton will have to replace that. And I don't know what that looks like. In terms of other players that could leave Everton, think about it. You know, there's a lot of players on that book that I'd have no issue leaving. You know, Rondon, you know, he doesn't need to be there. You Gomez's of this world, again, I don't know what he adds. The Premier League is just too fast-paced for Gomez. So, you know, when he plays slowly and he can be that dictator, it's fantastic. But we don't play slowly, and we certainly won't under Frank. I think what you'll see is Frank adapt now and adapt this team to playing that high intensity, high press that he wants, which is similar, unfortunately, to styles such as Liverpool and Manchester City. So you'll see Lampard try and do a similar thing. You see Gerrard do it at Villa as well. So interesting to see what will happen. Transfer window will be in full swing, and I really do suspect that. I really do believe that Everton's first signing will be James Tarkowski, and I will be genuinely thrilled at that. So, guys, look, I'm leaving it there. I'm going to go and enjoy the rest of my holiday. Let me know in the comments if you want a little tour of the villa, and I'll give you one. I'll probably do a video not tomorrow, day after, every couple of days. Hope that's all right while we're in Florida. And then after that, it will be every day. There'll be transfer updates, news videos every day. We are getting on it. Next season, we're going to really try and step up production. Everything. We're really going to have a go at it next season. I was, from a personal perspective, I was disappointed by what I'd done at the end of this season, because I felt like I let you down. We'd stopped using green screens and tried to do all the fancy animations, and it was just me in front of a camera. And to a degree, I like that authenticity, but I also think it doesn't help with the production value that you guys get from watching me. So that's got to step up. So guys, look, as always, it's been a pleasure. We'll keep smiling. We'll keep coming up with some shows. It's difficult. I don't really like doing the StreamYard stuff because I'd rather have like an on-the-sofa type show. Maybe with my dad, maybe with some Evertonians that are in Birmingham, etc. That's what I like. So we'll see what we can do. But guys, keep smiling. I don't know what the weather's like, but enjoy the party if you're having one. And I will see you soon. Peace.